It was a Tuesday morning, grey, still, and unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that reminds you time has passed whether you wanted it to or not. I woke up before the birds, made my way slowly to the kitchen. The air was cool, the kind that wraps around your bones and makes the past feel closer than the present. I boiled water for coffee and poured 2 cups. I always pour 2 cups. Out of habit, maybe, out of memory, out of love that didn't know how to stop. Harold's mug, the one with the chipped handle and the ridiculous "World's okayest golfer" slogan, is still on the table. I've tried to put it away, once, maybe twice. Each time my hand trembled just enough to remind me I wasn't ready. Some routines aren't routines, they're rituals. Grief doesn't leave. It changes clothes, it becomes quiet. Like wallpaper you stop noticing until you're alone in a room with nothing but silence. I met Harold in the fall of '67. I was 22, working night shifts at Rosie's Diner and pretending I wasn't waiting for something to happen. He had just come back from Vietnam. I remember he had on a navy sweater with a tiny hole near the elbow, and his hair was too long for the army but too neat for rebellion. He smelled like gasoline and something else, Old Spice and exhaustion. He ordered black coffee and apple pie. I forgot to give him a fork. He ate it with a spoon and smiled like I'd done it on purpose to be clever. We danced that same night. The jukebox was broken, but we didn't care. There was something about the way he held me, gentle, like he knew I'd been bruised before. I hadn't, but still. He walked me home under a sky that couldn't decide if it wanted to rain or clear up. He didn't kiss me, just took my hand and said, "You make things feel quiet." I married him 13 months later in my mother's backyard. The cake melted, the music skipped. We didn't care. We bought a house with floors that creaked like they were whispering secrets, and a porch swing he built himself. The swing was slightly uneven, but I never said anything. He was so proud. We raised 3 kids, Peter, Luann, and Tommy. Tommy had Harold's eyes. He died at 6, leukemia. That kind of thing doesn't just shatter you. It makes you forget who you were before. Harold stopped shaving for weeks after, built birdhouses in the garage, said the birds needed somewhere to go. I knew better. We were both trying to outgrieve the silence, but we stayed, we loved through it, fought sometimes, laughed more. Life with Harold was full, not always easy but never empty. He snored like a bear, forgot to rinse the sink after shaving, bought me the same perfume every Christmas even though I stopped wearing it. But when he kissed me on the forehead every night, it felt like a prayer. Then he started forgetting. At first it was small things. The name of our neighbour's dog, the day of the week, then the names of the grandchildren, our anniversary. Then he started losing time, long stretches of it. He'd ask me where we were, why I was crying. One day over breakfast, he looked at me and asked, "Are you my sister?" That day broke me in places I didn't know existed, but I smiled. I always smiled. I said, "No, darling, I'm the woman who's loved you longer than you've been forgetting." I took care of him for as long as I could. I read to him, I bathed him, I reminded him who he was when the mirror stopped doing its job. He had a moment near the end, just one clear moment. We were watching birds outside the window. He reached for my hand and said, "You still make things feel quiet." He died 2 days later. That was 3 years ago. People think grief is loud, but it's not. It's a slow hum, a light always on in an empty room. The kids check in, but they have their own lives. I don't blame them. I raised them to live, not to circle me like satellites. Most days I read, water the plants, watch old game shows, talk to Harold in my head. I keep his side of the bed made. I keep his seat at the table clear. And I still pour him coffee. Then today, something changed. A letter arrived. No return address. Just my name in careful handwriting. A Missouri postmark. Inside was a short note. "You don't know me, but I knew Harold. We served together in '68. He talked about you every night. Said you were the reason he came home. He saved my life once. I just thought you should know that. Paul. There was a photo too. Harold, young and sunburnt, his arm around another man, both of them smiling like the world hadn't touched them yet. I stared at that photo for a long time, pressed it to my chest and let myself cry. Not the soft kind, the kind that shakes the body. Because someone remembered him. Because he mattered outside of my memory. I wrote back, told Paul about Harold's birdhouses, his bad dancing, the way he always insisted on starting the car 5 minutes before I was ready to leave. Paul responded within a week. Said he'd been thinking about writing me for years. We exchanged letters for a month, long letters, honest ones. Then last week, he asked if he could visit. I hesitated, then said yes. This morning I poured 2 mugs of coffee again, but this time, not just out of habit. When Paul arrived, I saw age in his spine but recognition in his eyes. We hugged like people who shared a soul they both missed. We talked for hours, about Harold, about everything. I learned things I never knew, that Harold once played harmonica for an injured soldier, that he hated canned peaches, that he carried a photo of me in his helmet. We cried together, laughed too. Before he left, Paul looked at me and said, "He never stopped loving you, even when he forgot everything else." I didn't say anything. I just nodded and touched the rim of Harold's mug. Tonight, I feel something different in the air. Not quite hope, not quite peace, but something softer than sorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll open the windows. Maybe I'll plant something again. Maybe the silence has room for more than memory now.